Published 1424 EDT, the 11th of October 2017. Updated 1739 EDT, the 11th of October 2017. In his new autobiography, retired astronaut Scott Kelly gives an unflinchingly blunt take on his U.S. record-breaking year in space and the challenging life events that got him there. This isn't your usual astronaut's memoir. Kelly recounts dumpster diving on the International Space Station for discarded meals after a supply capsule was destroyed and ending up with some dude's used underwear in his hands. International Space Station ISS crew member Scott Kelly of the U.S. reacts after landing near the town of Dzhizkazgan, Kazakhstan. In his new autobiography, the retired astronaut writes about his U.S. record-breaking year in space and the challenging life events that got him there. In the book, he writes about a little-known incident that he says occurred during his first space station stint in 2010, when a Russian cosmonaut came untethered during a spacewalk and began floating away. Luckily, Oleg Skripachka happened to hit an antenna that bounced him back toward the space station, enabling him to grab on and save his life, according to Kelly. Even though he was aboard the space station at the time, Kelly said he didn't learn about it until his year-long mission 5 years later, when it casually came up in conversation with other cosmonauts. "I was like, really, holy crap. Crazy," Kelly recalled in an AP interview. He remembered Skripachka had looked shaken, but thought it was because he had been out on his first spacewalk. He writes about the congestion, headaches and burning eyes he endured from high carbon dioxide levels, and the feeling no one cared at Mission Control in Houston. In his book, Kelly tells how prostate cancer surgery almost got him banned from space station duty, and how his vision problem during an earlier spaceflight almost cost him the one-year mission, which spanned from March 2015 to March 2016. He tells how he visited a tattoo parlor before launch and got black dots all over his body to make it easier to take ultrasound tests in orbit, and how he fashioned extra puke bags for a nauseous crewmate. Kelly said his goal in writing Endurance: A Year in Space, A Lifetime of Discovery, was to tell the whole story. So many other NASA astronauts' memoirs focus on the good stuff and not necessarily the personal things that happened in their lives, things they might not be proud of, things that we all have that makes us normal, relatable people, he told the Associated Press. So I felt like sharing is good, but the bad stuff, too, makes the story more believable. In the book, he writes about a little-known incident that he says occurred during his first space station stint in 2010, when a Russian cosmonaut came untethered during a spacewalk and began floating away. Luckily, Oleg Skripachka happened to hit an antenna that bounced him back toward the space station, enabling him to grab on and save his life, according to Kelly. Even though he was aboard the space station at the time, Kelly said he didn't learn about it until his year-long mission 5 years later, when it casually came up in conversation with other cosmonauts. "I was like, really, holy crap. Crazy," Kelly recalled in an AP interview. He remembered Skripachka had looked shaken, but thought it was because he had been out on his first spacewalk. On Wednesday, the Russian Space Agency's press department said it contacted Skripachka, who did not confirm Kelly's account. No other comment was provided. "I've often pondered what we would have done if we'd known he was drifting irretrievably away from the station," Kelly writes. "It probably would have been possible to tie his family into the comm system in his spacesuit so they could say goodbye before the rising CO2 or oxygen deprivation caused him to lose consciousness. Not something I wanted to spend a lot of time thinking about as my own spacewalk was approaching." In this Friday, March 4, 2016 file photo, NASA astronaut Scott Kelly speaks during a news conference in Houston. In his new autobiography, the retired astronaut writes about his U.S. record-breaking year in space and the challenging life events that got him there. Published by NOF, Endurance comes out Tuesday, so does a version for children, My Journey to the Stars, put out by Penguin Random House. The 53-year-old Kelly said he didn't discover his passion for aviation and space until reading Tom Wolfe's 1979 book The Right Stuff in college. Kelly writes that he was a terrible student and likely suffered from attention deficit disorder. The former spaceman also tells how he realized right before his wedding that he didn't want to go through with it, but did anyway, leading to a troubled marriage and eventually divorce, and how he initially didn't want that space station stink on him getting space station assignments for fear it would limit his shuttle flying opportunities. Retired astronaut Scott Kelly, center, and his twin brother Mark Kelly, back, are greeted by children in the hallway of the Kelly Elementary School after the school was named in their honor in West Orange, NJ. On Wednesday, May 25, 2016, NASA's year-long spaceman, Scott Kelly, says even after 2.5 months back on Earth, his feet are still sore. Scott Kelly sits inside a Soyuz simulator at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center (GCTC) in Star City, Russia. In his new autobiography, the retired astronaut writes about his U.S. record-breaking year in space and the challenging life events that got him there. He flew twice on space shuttles and had 2 extended stays at the space station, sharing the entire 340-day mission, his last, with Russian Mikhail Kornienko. When asked if it was difficult exposing his weaknesses when astronauts are supposed to be perfect or close to it, Kelly replied, "Nah, I feel like I'm like a below-average guy doing slightly above-average stuff." NASA astronaut Scott Kelly has revealed the ISS smells like jail, citing the similarities in their combinations of antiseptic, garbage, and body odor. While touring Harris County Jail in Texas, Kelly said he got a whiff in one room that transported him right back to his days on the ISS. He explained that people in the ISS use deodorant, rinse off, shower, and that the smell isn't that bad, but there's a little body odor going on for sure. Astronaut Scott Kelly takes a photo of himself inside the cupola, a special module of the International Space Station which provides a 360-degree viewing of the Earth and the station. Expedition 46 Commander Scott Kelly participates in a spacewalk outside the International Space Station in which he and flight engineer Tim Capra, not pictured, moved the station's mobile transporter railcar ahead of the docking of a Russian cargo supply spacecraft. Mostly it's just exercise clothes people wear for a couple weeks without washing. NASA says residents of the ISS only change their socks and underwear every other day, and shirts and pants every 10 days. It might sound unsanitary to Earthlings, but, according to the agency, these garments do not get as dirty in space as they do on Earth. This cover image released by NOF shows Endurance: A Year in Space, A Lifetime of Discovery, by retired astronaut Scott Kelly. Kelly figured he might write a book given it was NASA's longest single spaceflight ever, so he kept a journal in orbit and took notes about how the place looked, smelled and felt to make someone feel like they were on the space station. The book hasn't come out yet, Kelly said, and as I get closer to it coming out, I'm thinking, man, I've got to live with this for the rest of my life. Kelly's identical twin brother, Mark, also a former Navy pilot and NASA astronaut as well as author, was among the several people who read early drafts. Scott Kelly devotes several pages to the 2011 shooting of his sister-in-law, former U.S. Rep. Gabrielle Giffords, aboard the space station at the time. Kelly wondered whether he was calling his family too much, whether in my effort to be there for them I was becoming intrusive. Traveling at a speed of approximately 17,500 miles per hour, the station completes each orbit around the planet in about 92 minutes, with 16 sunrises and sunsets each 24-hour period. Astronauts Terry Virts, Bottom, and Scott Kelly perform eye exams in the Destiny Laboratory of the International Space Station as part of ongoing studies on vision health and microgravity. In his new autobiography, the retired astronaut writes about his U.S. record-breaking year in space and the challenging life events that got him there. Back on Earth and now retired for 1.5 years, Kelly said he misses being in space. Of course, when he was in space, he missed Earth. He credits that saying to a Russian crewmate, Gennady Padalka, the world's most experienced spaceman, and isn't sure the saying made it into the book. I need to write a sequel of all the stuff I left out. In this Friday, August 10, 2007 image made from video provided by NASA, Commander Scott Kelly sits in the flight deck of the Space Shuttle Endeavour as he prepares to dock with the International Space Station. In this March 25, 1999 file photo, NASA astronauts Scott, Leff, and Mark Kelly, who are twins, pose for a picture in front of a mural at Johnson Space Center in Houston.